All right. Good evening, everyone. I believe it's been a very great week. Yeah, the week started very slow, and for us in Nigeria, Happy Democracy Day. All right. So let's get into it. Today we'll be going into the week three. Um, but before the week three, and what the week three has for us. So how has it been thus far? Like, what have you gained, and what have you been putting to work? I mean, doctor has said a lot of things just to open up the class and to challenge your mind. So what have you been doing? You can just drop it in the chat box. What have you been doing? So that means a lot of people have not been doing anything. And just like doctor said, I got that line and I almost tweeted it just before the class started when he said you can't get fed by looking other people eating. So you can't get fed by looking other people eating. So if you see people eating and you think by observing them you will be fed, I'm sorry, that's not how it works. Okay, yeah, I completed a project. All right, so I know some people will feel, oh, let me just be, I know what I'm working on. Yes, I'm doing something for myself. Let me just be coded. This is not a space to be coded. You don't know the next person that needs you for something. Yeah, let's get into the work for today. We revisited the lookups. We last week was when we did X lookup. We revisit we did VLOOKUP again, though we've done VLOOKUP in the first two, but we reinforced it yet again. And we looked at index and match, and then we look at other lookup or option. Especially, I think we did also just the lookup. So we use the lookup just to um, get data from other sheets, and then we populated it. So this week we'll be looking at something else, and this is one of the fundamentals. Though we've actually done some of it during the course of our engagement, but so we just want to speak to it and get people to understand that this is what they are doing when they actually are doing this, because you get into a space and you'll be asked to clean up your data, and you'll be wondering, how do I clean up data? How do I, well, what do they mean by data cleaning and the likes? So let's see how we can actually perform that today. All right, so I'll be populating this data that we have. I mean, the plain sheet with some of our data. So let me just pick a bulk of data and then we start doing some things on it. All right. So from that our usual sheet, I don't want to go into a new sheet, I mean a new data set, because it has not been shared. And I think we had an agreement that any data that will be used in class should be one of those that has been shared with us. So because none has been shared, so we'll just use a part of what we were used to. So I just took about 100 of these. That's 99, and then I want to perform some cleansing. So let's forget about where this is coming from. So in this particular data set, we have we want just to have um, a unique line. So what do I mean by a unique line? We want to have just one of each. So when I say one of each, we want to have, so let me take out this. All right, let me leave it because we'll do some things on it. So first of all, we want to take out every duplicate in this particular data, and not just here, across board. All right, we want to take out all the duplicates across board. So we don't want to have two of these. We don't want to have two of these. Well, we may end up having two of these, and that's where we will then get to understand what duplicate is and what duplicate is not. And the word duplicate is very relative. This is what I mean. By the time you're talking about duplicates, sometimes we leave them because, like these sheets, from our first week understanding, we know that this data is from a transaction. We tagged it a drop shipment transaction, and as people are buying things, somebody like this lady now. Let me classify. Yeah, Clara, a lady. Like this lady, she bought two items while she's placing this order, and that's why the order number got repeated twice, because each line this line 2, that row 2, is actually for the first item she ordered, and row 3 was the second item she ordered. We understand that, and that does not amount to duplication, because each row has a unique item on it. So each row has a unique item on it. But in this case that we're talking about, it's a duplicate in column B. Yeah, by the time we're looking at it holistically, we definitely know that these are not duplicates. But when we look at it just by row B, I mean column B, we understand that it is a duplicate because it had appeared twice in row B. So yes, the explanation that, it appeared twice in column B. The explanation that these two rows were actually um, independent item speaks when we're looking at it across the row. But when we're looking at it across the column, we see that it's actually a duplicate. So we possibly might want to remove the duplicate. Why? Because we just want to get the other IDs. So we are not trying to get anything in relationship. I mean, relating to, okay, how many of these were purchased. We just want to know how many orders went out. So we say, please get the total number of orders that were actually made today. So the total number of orders were made today. So in this, and get the date those orders were made, and trust me, this date will not be different from this date, because so long they have the same order number, they will be ordered on the same day. And I mean, it is assumed, according to this data, that they were delivered on the same day. I mean, in practical terms, it's possibly does not happen that way. I've ordered things that I mean in the same carts, and I got them on separate date. And sometimes you will see them telling you even while ordering that this item will be delivered on this day and this on that day. But according to this data before us, having reviewed the data, it is assumed that the order that goes on the same day gets shipped on the same day, regardless of the item in the cart. So, and that assumption we will stick to. So now, so we are sure that this date will be the same as this. That is, the date in cell C2 will be the same as the date in cell C3, and D2 will be the same thing as D3. So, which constitutes duplication. All right, it is the same order ID, it is the same all date, it is the same ship date. So when we're talking about data cleaning, so one of the things we're talking about is we just want to have the data in the form that we want to have it used. It's a way of presenting the data in the form that we want to have it using. And if we want to go by the way um, of divination, we might have data cleaning as an approach to setting your data in a in a usable form. So, and it's actually a significant step in data analysis or business analysis or anything that has to do with data. Because if you don't put your data in the form in which you want to have it using, there is nothing you want to do with that data that works. And that's one of the things where, I've always mentioned that the tool does not make um, the tool doesn't make you as a data analyst. You put the tool to work by you understanding what you want to achieve. All right. So in this particular instance, so we want to take out this, and I think I've demonstrated it before, but I didn't demonstrate it as though I was performing um, data cleaning operation. I didn't go up after it as though I'm performing data cleaning operation. So, but now I will then go after it as that. All right. So the first thing you want to you want is actually to ensure that the data is accurate. You want to put the data in a very accurate form. You want it to be consistent. So, and if the data is not consistent with what you're looking at, in this case, we just want to have everything um, by the other date. So, what matters to us now is we just want to get, the order ID. We want to get the total number of order that had actually been placed over time. All right. So now the first thing we want to do here is actually to remove duplicate on the order ID column. And how to do that, like I said, I've demonstrated that before, and I believe somebody is doing the same thing now. Because trust me, you have this data with you. You can just cut out of it, or you can copy the data. That's the workbook, that is the Excel file that was tagged. I don't know if that was what it was shared as, TNT database. If I don't know if that was what it was shared. Ah, so that are our usual data, just to call it whatever name you might have saved it as. So now we just go ahead and then come to this data tab. And when we get to data tab, there is a section, a ribbon, which is on data. We have a ribbon which is data 2. So data 2, there is this icon there. Let me see if I can. So even if I increase my data, it won't affect this at the top. So there is this icon. I don't know if you can see it clearly. You will see this icon on your Excel in the data tab. So this icon is where it's telling you um, delete duplicate rows from a sheet. So that's the function of this particular button. So, and that is what we use to remove duplicate. So it says you can, so, and I love Excel for one thing. You can read what is there. I mean, you can read what the key does, what the button does, so that before you press spoil, I mean, what's it called? The remove duplicate. We click to remove duplicate, so it brings up a pop-up, and it's asking us to expand the selection, or we continue with the current selection. So we've selected column B already, so we say continue with the selected selection. So then we click to remove. All right, and then it has removed 50 and left with 9. Total number is 99. So it has removed 50 duplicates. Yeah, you can move around. So let's move ahead. All right, let me just undo. Yeah. Okay. So we still have the 99. All right. We still have the 99 items. All right. So I was explaining duplicate and saying, now, this is the mindset we want to work with. We just want to have everything, every order. And I've explained why this might look like a duplicate. It isn't, but in this sense, we're treating it as a duplicate because it appears twice in column B. And we want to remove every such occurrence, and we want to apply that to everything. I mean, like this two also, we want to remove the duplicate. And by the time we remove these it definitely will affect this and the other. Now, so I'll just go ahead and then take out the duplicate in column B. All right. So um, usually we are in home. So I say go to the data tab and then come over here to data tool. So you have this icon there, which is for remove duplicate. So um, now if you click on the remove duplicate icon, then you have this pop-up. So by the time this pop-up comes up, it's saying expand the selection. So what that is, that what that means is that oh, it wants to look through and then remove every occurrence of duplicate across board. But I say my reference for this is just that which I've selected. I just want to use B as my reference in removing duplicate from this particular sheet. I believe anything that affects B, because B actually is what made others duplicate, like what I said earlier about the order date and the ship date. So this C2 and C3 are the same just because B2 and B3 are the same. So if I click remove duplicate, it's out. So it has brought in my selection. At this point, I might want to change my mind or do something, but this I'm okay with the selection and I say okay. So it brings me a pop-up or a report of what it has done. So Microsoft Excel is sending me a report of okay, this action you just performed, this is the report of this is the result of what you've done. And the result says 50 duplicate values found and removed. So because I had asked it to remove it, so the first thing it did was to look for them. And by the time it looked through the selected column, uh, it found 50 and it removed the 50. And we're left with 49 unique values. So it says 49 unique values remaining. So I remember what we selected was 99. I mean the data set that we got into this place had 99 rows. So 50 plus 49 is 99. So we are good that he did what he had to do. So nothing is missing. So if I say okay, so all the duplicate is gone. All right, all the duplicate is gone. So you will wonder that, oh, why do we still have this date that is C2 and C3 is the same, um, D2 and D3 is the same. So so it's because we apply it just to this particular color. Okay. So it had only removed 50. Hello, I think I had an interruption. Um, I was I had a reconnection issue, so it could have affected my sharing. So let me stop and share again. So I was trying to explain what had happened here. That yes, um, C2 and C3 are still the same. All right, C2 and C3 are still the same. D3 and D2 and D3 are still the same. And you will observe something just below. So you will see that the 50 that it took out were just the 50 on this particular column B, because we said it should apply it to just column B. And what happened was they just moved up. So every other thing moved up to the places of those items that were removed. And the other item remain as they were. The other item remain as they were. So we still have 99 rows, but only on the what's it called, the other ID column. That's where we have 49. Every other set is still 99. So what that means is that by the time you are applying this, you have to ensure that you click that it covers everything, so that as it is removing it, yes, you will use column B as the reference, but it will actually be across everything. And this is what I mean. So I will undo now. I think we should have 99 again in column B, and then we'll say um, delete duplicate. So let's use the approach that we used before, where we selected B, and then we say, so it's asking that continue with selection or expand the selection to everything. I said expand the selection to everything and then remove. So it's asking me delete duplicate value. To delete duplicate, select one or more column that contain duplicate. So now, so we can say on select all, I will just select just this other ID. So when we say okay, it has removed it, but in this case, it has removed every other thing with it. So we won't have anything left but only the 49 that we have. So, but only the 49. The reason is because by the time we selected this and we said, okay, let me just undo for you too. So we still have 99 item here. So we say remove duplicate, and it's asking, okay, I didn't make any selection, but let me explain using that first way so that you can see that other pop-up come up. So, so it's saying, what do you want to do? Expand the selection or continue with the current selection? You remember we did continue with the current selection, and it did what it had to do. It removed those duplicate, but the duplicates were removed only in the column that we selected. So it removed it only for column B. But in this case, that we needed it to remove every other thing that relates to that, any row that has, so any row where duplicate is identified, it should remove every entry on that row. So we said expand the selection and we say remove. And when we said remove, it said to delete duplicate value, select one or more column that contain duplicate. So we currently everything is selected, and we just unselect all and we select this that we want to use as reference, which is the other ID, and we say okay. So by the time we say okay, the same report came up because we have just 50 duplicates in the other ID and we have 49 unique values. So, and that's why we have this. So that's why we have the 49. And by the time we apply it, we have this 49. So we should have just 49 here. So this is 49. And the 49 is not just for column B. It is across, but you could see that every other thing has just 49 columns. All right. So that is how to apply this. Both are useful. You might want to just remove just in one column alone, and you might want to use it as a reference for removing every other one in other column, that is removing across the row. So we've demonstrated both ways by which this can be implemented. So we can either just remove this, even while other things remain constant, we can remove duplicate in a particular column, and then it won't be with reference to other columns. But we can also remove duplicates in a particular column and would say take out everything that falls in the same row with those column entry that has duplicates, and that is what we've just performed. All right, so the next thing is to I want to check if that is okay, and this has to do with what your expectations are. What are you trying to do? I mentioned it. What are you trying to do? If we want to get the total number of orders, Let's assume this is the entire data set, right? If we want to get the total number of order by the order ID, where we were before, we will be saying we have 99 order, and that is not correct, okay? So it's not correct that we have 99 orders. So what is correct is that, responding to that question again, yeah, you won't be going through this, and that's why we call it data cleaning. You won't be going through the data one after the other to check how many unique value we have here, because okay, your boss just asks you, I mean your supervisor just asks you, Babatope, please get me the the list of order, I mean the number of orders that we have for today. Let's assume these are the transactions that happened today, and you have all of this. So you have the data, but you can't get it out. So you need to actually clean it up by whatsoever means. So one way for which you can also do that is to introduce a filter into the table, and then you can then get that out. But before I show the same thing by introducing a filter, let me demonstrate this again for the benefit of those who want to um, learn this again. And I am happy that a lot of people got it at once. So now we used to be at the home, at home. So now, because we want to remove duplicate, we are coming to data tab. And then here in data 2, we will see the remove duplicate. So here in data 2, we will say remove duplicate. So we say remove duplicate, and it has brought this out for us. So we say on select all because we want to use order ID as our pivots. So, and we say okay, and then it has used that as the center of excellence to get this done for us, and say okay, and there we go. We have 49 across board. All right, so without missing words now, you can tell him we have what's it called? We have um, we have 49 orders today. So we have 49 orders today. So, and simply remember our count. So you can just apply count to this and you say count. So even if you don't, let's assume the data is large and there is no serial number, and even the serial number is altered by now. But even if you don't have serial number, you definitely have the row number. So by the row number, I know by default that, I mean, we have 50 row. It is on, we have it up to row 50, but remember we have the header. So I remove the header, I know we have 49. But if you don't want to just trust all of those, you can just apply our normal count and say count B2 to B50. So B2 to B50. So when you count that way and it gives you 0, okay, perfect. It's good that it turned out 0. So now this is another thing to teach. It's another thing to teach. So why is it giving us 0? Anybody? Any idea? Okay. Oh, I appreciate. Very good try, and I really appreciate the try, because that is a thing to check. So because it should work, why it is not working, that could be the reason. But that in this case, that is not the reason. And the reason is very close to what you said. Very close. There's an error, but the error isn't in the data set. All right. Thank you, Utma, for that try. All right. So I will use the same thing that I did here. I will copy and paste it here. All right. And it worked. All right. Why is it not working in column B and it works in column E? And I'm very sure it will work here, it will work here, but it won't work here. Why? So I'm giving you a clue already. Perfect. Both people did a good job, and I saw somebody also saying the data set. Yes, perfect. Usman said it correctly, only for it to be move to the other side. Yeah, and what he said, like I said, makes a lot of point because he said something possibly is wrong with the data, and I said, wait, maybe we should just flip it to the other side and say maybe something is wrong with the formula itself, or maybe the formula should not have been applied to this data, and that is what Moisap now said that it works for the number and it's not working for the alphanumeric. So now, surprise. So now it works. So now you just need to tell it that you're counting a mix. So um, you're not just counting numbers now. So these have alphabet in it. So you just say count A. I don't want to interpret the A as count alphabet or count alphanumeric. So by the time you introduce that A in front of the count, then it will be able to count it. Perfect. And if we do the same thing here, it will count it. All right. Okay, great. So, and that's it. So sometimes your formula will be correct and something will just be off. So you just need to check if it is applicable or this formula can be applied to this particular scenario. And because you might, because of this, now start a whole lot of search, and before you know it, you just going in circle because you already had the solution. You are just not able to enter into the solution because things aren't in the right order. So I've mentioned it before and I'll say it again that this is important, especially when we want to actually do something and we need it to be in this order. You know, cleaning our data um, helps us to have an accurate and clean, I mean, accurate data to work with. So it helps us to have an accurate, and the importance of accurate data is accurate result. So the fundamental of computing, which is garbage in and garbage out, still applies. So whatsoever we feed into our analysis is the result that we will get out of it. So if you get a good result, I was taking a training this week and it's about market intelligence, and we're talking about cost model. It is whatsoever you feed into your model that will come out as the end result eventually. So if your model is filled with things that will not work, definitely your model won't work. So please, um, let us get this straight. So okay, now let's move on from here. Now I said I would demonstrate the same thing we did by filter. So all right. So I'll just undo all of this so that we have our 90 something again. So okay, now you possibly might want to extract the um the data and you felt okay, I don't just want to do all of this. I just want to filter, do some other things, and then so you come to this still in the data part and click on filter. So it brings all these drop downs here. So by the time you click on this drop down, the only thing is just that this will be put in counting. So, by the time you bring out this drop down, you already have all the unique, what's it called, other ID here. But the only thing is that you will have to count, which I don't support. All right. So, and that's just it. So, the other thing we'll be talking about in cleaning the data. So let us revert to our cleaned, our data that had no duplicate. All right. So we're not interested in duplicate. So the second level is about the date. Okay. It's about the date. We, we don't want the date to be in the, okay. All right. So there is something I did recently in this light. So I was working on a spend report, and I needed, because a lot of currency were playing out in the report, so I needed to convert some of this to USD. I needed to convert some of this to USD. So now dates comes to play a very significant rate. I mean, a significant part in this. So I want the the date format in the estimate. So let me copy this, and then I'll come. You know, we live in an economy where the exchange rate is very volatile. So, say for instance, we just want to get something and see the exchange rate, and I just go this way. Let's assume, let me format this to be in date in this format. Um, yeah, let it be in this format, and I say okay. So I want also this table that I have here, because maybe yeah, this is other, but let assume we, we have exchange rate here that we want. So, and you know, all of these days, so all these days does not have their own exchange rate. So some do have, and some don't, and we just calculate by those that have. So I'm just removing some. Okay, um, just a minute. Okay, all right. So do we have any duplicate here? Okay, so now we can actually have some numbers for this, and we'll say maybe when Nigeria was good in 2014, 150, and December 1, it has gone to 160, and then 180, and by this time Jonathan was in power. But now 2015, no, this is 2015. Warrior. All right, so let's say 200. So we change to 230 here. These are just arbitrary number. So um, okay, let's assume it fell at this point, and then it has not gone worse. Then it went up again. So let's just, these are non-Nigerian exchange rates. Well, it's not even USD to Naira. You just exchange rate from one country that I don't know. All right. Before we read the change, we say I'm projecting what is not as of 2017. All right. So we have all of this. So, you know, you want to have like for like. So you want to have like for like. Now, you have this date in this format. You have this date in this format. So ask me if it will work or it won't work. I'll tell you it will. It will work. Wait, let me get to see the earliest date. Now, so let me just leave that aside. So now I want to have, because I want to compare, I want to bring this data into this sheet, and I want this also to be in the same format. So now formatting is part of cleaning up data. So we format data in, and we set data in the right format that they should be. See, fun enough, I mean, good enough, this is in, um, it's already in date format, but not in the right date sequence that we want. So then we come over here and make it to the right one that we want based on what we want to compare it with. So there is nothing to mean, because by the time you're working on live data, there are a lot of things that could actually happen. A lot of things could happen. So you don't just want that to be one of the things you'll be worried about. That, oh, is it because of this that this is not working? Is it because of, so don't allow formatting to be one of the reason you will just be working in cycle, whereas you've gotten the answer, only that the formatting isn't right. Okay, now, and that is a side. So the next thing, so we have actually put it in the right format. And this now, if we want to look up anything with this, we are sure that it is in the right order. So now, possibly we have a cell. So let me do something. So one of the ways, now, let's assume when we have this, okay, let's assume when we have this data, when this data came, it came in this format, all right? And your manager said, or the standard of the organization, we don't just shout at people in writing. And maybe the organization already said no, um, everything must be in sentence case. But because when they were setting up the ERP system that you were using, those that actually did the column, or the inventory guys that were, or those that did the classification of the ship mode, put it in, what's it called, in uppercase, and you need to change it. So there is no cause for alarm, because it stands out in all of your report, and that every other thing is in low, I mean, is in proper form, and the only one that is all case is this, and you just want to put it in this case. So there are several ways by which you can achieve that. I think one of the things we did last week was flash fill. So we did flash fill last week. We can apply to this as well. So it can work, but instead of just applying flash fill to this, what can we do? Is just to use what we call proper. So there is a function called proper that makes that brings back or whatsoever your text to the proper form. So see, proper now uses sentence case in Word. So proper is the same thing as, I mean, no, not sentence case now. It's what's it called? Capitalize each word. I think that's the counterpart in Word, in Microsoft Word. Capitalize each word. So proper will capitalize each word. Proper will capitalize each word. And if it is, and I think that is what we need here. So proper will capitalize each word, and it can bring it from this form that it is currently is, or even if it is in this form, because you could just have some people while setting up, they did something. So let us assume this was what was done. So in other case, it could be that all will be in lower form. It will just be all small letters. And you don't want all small letters. You can still bring it from small letters to, okay. So So you can see have it back in proper form and it works. So yes, we have this in your data set. All right. Okay, good. So the next one that we'll be going to is to combine two cells. So now we have done it before while I was trying to explain some things now. So okay, so now we have Clara and we have Bert. We have Darren Van Hoof. So I guess so we have this and we have this guy. Okay, so I haven't copied out all of this. We can do something like this and say that it should also call flash view, but you could see that that isn't working for us at the moment. So it's not working for us at the moment. So and we want to split the two cells. So now, which of these did we use the other time to actually perform this? Because I demonstrated this showing how we can separate and how we can bring together. So I said, now, in a case we can actually flash view and it will give us all of this because we already showed it the pattern that we want. But in this case, it's not coming out the way we wanted it because he possibly is seeing it as something that it can't perform for us. But there's a way we can actually achieve this in Excel, and we've achieved it before in this class. So reminders. Yes. So if I specify the number of character, right? Can
I'm
you
with you.
are you
With
following?
you. Yes, yes, sure.
Okay, if I specify the number of character, what that will mean is that what it is for the first row is not what it is for the second row. You get that?
Yes, I did.
So that is where I was saying I will have to repeat the same thing um, for all of them.
Okay.
So, but there is a way. Okay.
Okay, go ahead. No, 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 please do go ahead.
No, no, please. It's a class. It's not. But did you get my thought in saying like I can get out clear, and that's 6,6, okay, and say enter, which is quite easy. But if I should drag it across this, look at what I have. Okay,
Okay, I'm
like
with you.
now, Sean, the whole from the his other name had actually come to it, and
Included
even
already.
and for Brosina, we didn't
A
have the
was
A.
removed.
And
Yeah.
that's why I'm saying if I am to specify the number of characters, I will not be able to apply it across board.
Okay, please, we're going to
All
use
right.
text column. Yes, I get that. I think I go what you're saying. So I think the perfect function to use is text to column. Then we use delimiter. give it a space to demarcate the two. So it's going to actually separate the stuff for us, the names for us very well.
And how do we do that?
We'll get to let's go over to data, if I'm right. Let's go to data first. Data.
Okay, let
On
me clear
data,
this. Okay, data.
yes. Sorry, I'm trying to look through. Yeah, so we go to data tools. Under data tools ribbon or group, we get to text to column.
Okay.
You click on text to column. I can't see your drop down. Oh, click on text to column.
Okay.
I can't see your drop down. Don't know what is there.
You can still see it.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay.
Oh,
So we are going to click on delimiter. We are not going to use fixed width. We are going to click on delimiter. Then next.
okay.
Then now we're going to use space to demarcate that, not comma. So instead of tab, we uncheck the tab, then check space. I think we need to uncheck the tab. Is that necessary? Okay. Then we already see a preview of what it's going to look like. But I think you're supposed to select all the columns, but it's actually giving us only one, which is only for clear gutter or thereabout. But click next. Let's drag it down and know if it's going to work.
Oh, okay. I just removed it to go back. All right. So let me follow what you said. So fix next separate by space.
That's going to separate our customer name. We don't want that. So we select from where our data is starting from, which is actually IJK2. Select it down to where the data
Okay.
stops. Yes. I now fill it. So be it. Oh my goodness, Jesus. Next. Mhm. Then finish.
So we have this.
Yeah, I know that's what it's going to be.
All right. So sorry, let me look at the person that has been guiding me. Where are you? Sorry,
I'm
what's your name?
here. My name is Oinye.
Okay, Onye.
Here.
Thank you, Onye.
Here.
All right. So I mean,
Welcome.
perfect. But we have issues with this guy. Somebody is raising his hand out. Um, who is out? So I think he's the only one that is out. He's the only one that has three names. So one way you can actually achieve that using still delimiter is to just come here and change the delimiter between the two of them, so that by the time we apply this, oh, I've selected. So that by the time you apply this, it will not acknowledge the space between them as so it won't acknowledge the space. But another way to actually do it is to use your right while this space is kept there. So we can use our right, excuse me, we can use right to actually, so now we've started writing functions and we've started in the right. That is, we want to search from the right and then get to the place where we have that particular space. But in this case, it will observe musical of first before observing van. So I'll leave that to us to figure out. Use right. If you sit with the length of word and then search where the space comes from. Okay, so if you use right, and this is what I mean, and this is the conventional one that you can easily write right, and then you're looking at this particular cell. You are then trying to see what is the length of the words that is found in this particular cell, because you want it to, by the length of the word, do some check, and then you want to separate it from the answer you have here, the search. But trust me, the first space that will be seen here, no search for the stress space, and in this, the first space in this, so and take it to. So we now not say -1 now. So we now do minus. Okay, let me first do -1 so that you see what comes up. And I want you to figure out the last one yourself. I want to no -1. Yeah, that's the last bracket. So now it's bringing out an hoof. So figure out how it will bring out just van and without hoof. So I've put this here, but there is a way you can actually go about it that it will give you the correct answer. It will give you van without hoof. So playing around with it, let me help your mind. So playing around with it, this is what you get. So I intentionally put the -1 so that you know what that is performing, and then you can leverage on it to achieve what you want. All right. Somebody is thinking about plus already. So if you plus, you have space. If you do minus, you have. So you can play around with it. All right. So now let me get into something else, and that would be just a minute. Yeah. So if you check the curriculum, you see that we are to get into something very significant tonight. After just walking through all of this possible way of cleaning data, I should touch this, and I should touch this so that in case you are faced with it, and this is a very common um, thing. Okay, so we did something like this the last time. So I've actually put some space in this. So most of the data you'll be downloading online or from SQL or SQL, they might have space. Okay, they might have space. So you want to okay, let's get this into let's get this into this. So they might have space. I want to add space to this. Okay, if I let me let me add let me add space to this using left. Okay. Um, uh, so that we can see that. Sorry. Left this command search and then separate with this in this and yeah, close my bracket. So by default, by default, I have space in all of this. So all of these have space, one spaces in them. Okay, they have one space in them. I mean one space in them. So one of the ways to remove this space, it could be more than one, it could be just one, is to use the function trim. So trim will help remove the space that is there. So, I mean, there are several ways to achieve that. You can use trim. So you will see, okay, let me. Trim has taken out all these spaces. So there are, we can use len. So count spaces as a character. So len counts spaces as character. So we can so you will see that this has 6 characters in it. I mean 7 characters in it, and this has okay. So we have sorry, just a minute. Sorry, I'm here. I'm just trying to review something. It's about the class, it's not something else. So like was saying, um, we want to be sure that we are working in line with our curriculum. So okay, as I was saying, you could see that this is for hell, this is for column hell, um, and this is for M. So and this is for M. So you could see that all of them, if I should drag this across board, they will have one, there will be one shot. If I check the difference, there will be one shot because there is space in L and there are no space in M. So I mean that's how to use the function trim. So what it does is that it helps us to take out the extra space that we might have in our data, and many a times, especially in numbers. So okay, let me demonstrate this now so that we can see the importance of actually taking those out, especially when it comes to number. So I have put 7 here and 8 here. So let me not go too much. If I say you should sum, so this is doing this because possibly it has corrected it by itself because I put a space and it didn't acknowledge my space. But when you download these things, there are some that we have space. I have, and it's removing the space that I'm putting there myself. But some data when you download them, they come with space in the number part. If you don't remove those space, it won't sum up. If we do the sum, this that does not have eight, I mean that does not have space. Eight doesn't have space. Let's assume this have space. Okay, let me even try and make it have space by force. All right. So I've made it have space by force. Okay. So I did the sum. You now be wondering. So now it's looking as if they are not aligned. So you might have it aligned in the same format. So you now do a sum N2 and N3, and then you'll be discovering that, oh, it is not summing up. You know that it should not be 8, but now it's returning 8. So sometimes, and that's the importance of removing those excess space. So because somebody might be thinking, why remove space? This is what happens when you have space that is not removed. All right. So, and once we remove this, it actually will work and the sum will work. So I just had to create that space there. But there are some data that even from start to finish, the space will be there. So you just have to remove that excess space. Sorry. So moving on. So we've done separating and combining. We've done deleting column. Have we done that? No. So, but I mean, let's not assume that everybody now knows how to delete a column. Yeah, it could be very funny. So to delete a column, because the column might not be useful for us. The column might not be useful for us, and we just felt, let us take it out. Let us take this column out manually. We are not using any formula to take it out. We are not using any. We just want to have it removed. So segments, we don't need you. You can just go. So I mean, several ways to remove it. We can clear the content, and we can take it out outrightly. So it's just by right clicking on the column having been selected. So after selecting it, we right click on it, and then we, like I said, we can clear the content and we can delete it outright. And another thing we can do to it is we can hide it, because some things we don't need now, we might need later. So, but we don't just want to see it now, and maybe it's even confusing us at the moment. So you might either hide it now. Instead of FGH, we have FH. So you should know that something is missing. So anytime, and you might be handed a data that is like this, and you are looking for a very crucial information. Maybe the last person that used it just didn't want all of this, and instead of using um, um freeze pane, instead of freezing the pane, he just did not want to freeze pane, but he wants to see every other thing but this that I'm selecting from E to J. We want to see every other thing but um but E to J. So now he had actually hid the column. So you can unhide those columns, because I've seen situation where somebody will say, oh, somebody has, I can't see this, I can see D, I can see K, I know something is in between. So the way to unhide this column is actually to just select over it. So several ways, you can double click, to have them out. So at the point where you have so you can double click to have them out. And the other way to achieve that is to actually, instead of just double clicking and bringing them out one after the other, You can just select over the first and the previous and the next column to those that are hidden, and then just say on hide column. So and you will have that column come out. And if it is a case where we want to just take them out outrightly, so say for instance we want to take out segments, take out this and this, and so we can just delete and then they are out. Okay, so they are out and that's deleting, and that's deleting a column. And the same way, I mean the same thing goes for deleting a row. Okay, so I mentioned the other time that we can clear content. So you can clear content using delete button on your keyboard, or you can also right click and use the clear content button to clear content. So the content will be cleared, the format remains, but the text, I mean whatsoever is there, will be taken out. And the same thing applies for this the rows. So you'll right click, you can clear content of those rows, and then you can hide. So within the row, so sometimes just say something is there, I know something is there, but I can't see it. Three, between 3 and 13, I can't see what is there. So it could be the role is hidden, and then just want to unhide it. So I just hit another one. So just say unhide. So just say unhide. So and everything that was hidden had now come out. All right. So and if we want to take it out outrightly, it's the same way. We just say delete, and then it's gone. All right. So okay. So there are times that um, data will be missing. Data will be missing, and it will be totally out. The data will be totally out. You won't have data for particular row. So what should you do in handling what's it called? In handling missing data? There are several school of thought to this, but you need to see what kind of data is missing. If it is value and you want to manage that, so some will say um, do an average of what you have across board, and then fill it with an what's it called? Fill in an average of in those spaces, what's it called? In those spaces that are without any entry. But some would say take it out um, totally if they are actually very key elements that are missing. So, and how do you know? So, if we have just maybe one item missing, you can extrapolate. But if in a row you have more than 3 items that are missing, so because a way where you can extrapolate, and I'll show that very shortly. So, if do we have okay, let me undo and get. I think some of the column I've removed will help us. All right. So now, if we have, if the city of this guy is missing, if the city is missing, let me undo. Okay. So let's assume this city is missing. Um, and this city is missing. So, and one thing is, we don't want to work with a a data set that has missing data, because missing data could make the difference between everything that we are doing. Missing data could either you would think that it should be it's just one thing that is missing. Oh, some people will say, it's just one. It's just one. Why can't we just get something and then um, do something about it? But it doesn't play out that way. So you must be sure that you have a base before you can actually fill in a missing data, because a missing data could actually qualify a row for being taken out. So it could be a reason why you want to take out an entire row in your data set. So now I was explaining this particular one now. So this has every other information but this. Now, what we can do to such a case as this is from the United States, and the state is California. So it has two reference now. It has the country. So the first thing you want to do is to filter by the state. Now, because the country is the same for all of them, you want to filter by the state and say, um, oh no, that wasn't what I want to do, and say California. Because it's not a number, so you can't be taking, but excuse me. So, so it is encouraged that which of these has the most count, so should be used to populate this, and that's Los Angeles,
I
and
can't
is
see your I can't see your screen, Mr. John.
okay. Could be because of the reconnection. Okay, how is it now? Hope it's better now. I think everybody can now see. All right. So now, so what we can do is to then replace it um with the city that appears the most. That's a way to actually um, fill in the missing data. So we can then note it that this was actually populated by ourselves. We can put a note there by just saying shift F2, and you can put a note here saying this was populated by inferring. I mean, we just inferred that this should be it. Okay, so we remove the note. So now, in a case where, for instance, this is not there, this is not there, this is not there. Let me take that again. So we have this that is taken out, and we have the city taken out. The city is not there, and we want to just get the city
Also,
based on the other
I can
information we
still
have.
see.
So now this is missing. You know, the first thing we did was we found that it was missing, and we said, what can we country it as a state? So why not just check for all that has similar states and check the most occurring city? So looking through it, we saw that Los Angeles is the most occurring city, and so it is one of the, approach to filling in missing what is going, and then you fill it in. So you can put a note or you mark it out to say, oh, these are missing data that were populated by extrapolation. So because things that we are doing, we are just extrapolating that since it is from this city and it's from this state, so the chances of it coming from Los Angeles is high because we have most of these people from Los Angeles. So if it happened to be a value, okay, if it happens to this lead time, okay, if this is house, all right. So if this is house, there are ways by which we can populate it if we need to. So if we need to, so we can take the mean of all of this. So we can fill it with the mean of all of this, all right? So we can take the mean of this, and the mean is the average, okay, um, of all of this. And then we have 4.2. So these are not in decimal. So 4.2, we can actually return 4 for it. So the same way, we can then have it here to be, just to mark it out. So I was explaining something the other time that yes, we are feeling this, but imagine that the case was that this whole three is out, that we didn't have all of this. What do we do? What do we do? So we don't have anything to infer with. So we don't have any reference point, anything that we can infer from. So this is one of the things that lead to people must go I being taken out. So you can take out this rule, but because these are just details about country, city, and state, so the best thing you can put here is to replace it with others. So this can form your orders. So you would have seen a lot of data that you will felt what do they mean by orders. So it could be that it is not available, so that by the time we are populating our report, right? By the time we are populating our report, we'll have a segment for orders, and that will account to those that we don't know where they fall to. We don't know which country they fall to, but they buy from us. Remember, this is a retail data set or a drop shipment company data set. We don't know where their country is. It wasn't captured in the system, and it's missing on our data, but we know they are from somewhere. We can say, okay, we also can say for real, out of all of this, we can say they are from United States because this data is for United States. So there is no other country that could actually come into this. So we can infer United States. But for this and this, we can't tell. We have a lot of states in the United States, and we have a lot of cities. So because we don't have any guidance to which states, I mean, in the case where we have the country which is constant for all, and we have the state which is California in this case, we're able to infer the city based on the largest occurring city in our data from California. But in a case where we are unable to get um, the we don't have the city and we don't have the state, so you can put it as others. And one of the things we're trying to eradicate is we don't want data. We want our analysis, there should be, because these people, they could be more than this. We want something to actually go into the records. Because if we just take them out, say for instance, if it is sales, which this is in this case, if we take this rule, or if we take this rule out in its entirety, you know what we have done? We have actually taken some sales report out. Okay, so we have taken, invariably these have some sales value to it. 1002. Let me just drag it across and say few series. Okay. Just to have different prices. All right. So now, if I take this away, and let's assume this is sales, so we'll be rounding off soon. So if this is sales, if I take this away because the other, we don't know where they belong and we don't want missing data, I have deleted these sales by doing this. So by the time we are doing the sum of sales, so let me do some here. So by the time we are doing the sum of sales, so this is this. So we have this already to be 6,804. So now, because this is not available, I want to take it out because I don't want any missing data in my any missing entry in my data. So by the time I take it out, oh, because there is a reference point here. So by the time I take it out, from what we have before, I think 6806 or 860 something. So it has 6804. All right, so it has reduced to 5240. Okay, 5240. That is what that that could cause us. But instead of taking it out, we might devise a means to now what's it called? To now account for them under others. So with this, we have not reduced our value, our sales value, which is important to us more than even this. We just want to know with this, where is our sales coming from? But what is more important to us than just the sales, than just the location is our sales. This is more important to the business. But the business also want to know about the city and states where that are contributing to this state. But if we, because it is not complete or we have missing entry and we take them out, because we'll be taking out the entire row, we possibly, not even possibly, we will also take out our sales in that regard. So what we can do is actually to find a replacement for it. We can tag it as all others so that by the time we are reporting and we report for all the states, we report for all the city, we can now say others. And this order constitutes those that we don't know where they are from due to missing entry. And I'd also mention how we can get it if it is a number. And there are some data that you can use average. There are some data you can use average for, and at this moment, I think that is what we will end. So tonight we ought to get into pivot table, pivot chart. But apologies that I don't know how slow we went, and that is my own fault. Yeah, the next week will be better at it so that we will be able to cover as much as we should. So at this point, I don't know if there are any questions that I can quickly answer before we call it a day. One of the things you can do is to go to the base of that your very large data, and I think this is maybe somewhat large as well. And we know that the last is 9994, 9994. So you could just do a simple count if at the base. I say count if, count A at the base, and then count from which cell am I working on? A2 to A9994. All right. So 995. All right. So I want to count that. So I know I should have my answer should be 9994. So by the time you drag it across board, okay, so you will know which one has a missing data. So there's another thing you can just perform and say equals this minus 9994. So by the time you click enter, anyone that has less than 0 has a missing data. All right. So this has no missing data. This has no missing data. But this has 2 missing data. This has 1. This has 2. So this has 7 missing data. This has 6 missing data. This has 5. So this is a way to know. Also, going by the advice of Usma, let's go to the top of the page. All right, so you can also as well filter. All right, so by the time you filter, but when you do filter, you want to be going there one after the other to see if you have blanks. So you can be searching blank, so or you just look through. But I think one of the fastest way to do it is just go to your the base of your data. You do a count A, and then um, or so you can also do um, um, something is blank. So but that one might need you to insert the column and just say equals is blank, true or false. So but this one that we did first, we might be the fastest solution. There are several other ways. All right. So thank you very much for tonight. I am always glad to be here. Sincerely, I'm always glad to be here. And for the next few weeks, we won't be tired of ourselves. And I'm glad that you're always